This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire.
Stop all that. The Truefire All Access membership, they've brought the price down for March Madness, they're calling it. So the cheapest you can get it any time of year is $99. It beats the codes that I normally tell you about. So I just wanted to shout that out here. So you get All Access membership for $99 for the year. You know, get into your Tim Millers, your Robin Fords, there's Larry Carlton stuff on there, there's Eric Johnson stuff on there. Like, all of our favourite players seem to have Truefire courses. Check that out. March Madness, it's mad. Okay, I hope you don't mind indulging me in what I think is actually a comparison that I hadn't really thought of until quite recently. You know, the Sire S10, it's asking a lot for people who are familiar with the Sire brand, because it's like, okay, well, this is a brand that you've been paying £500 for. Now we've brought out something that's $1,300, whereas Fender, I think they figured this out quite a while ago. You can sort of have a premium for the name Fender versus Sire, and so they don't have that same competing thing necessarily, where it's like anyone's perception of a Fender as a budget guitar. So that was what Sire was up against, and in this video I kind of wanted to compare them and see if I could make a recommendation. The Sire S10 was sent to me by Sire, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to recommend it at the end. So yeah, I bought this one, I was sent this one, but this is sat unused for a while until I thought of this video. So using the Helix for both there, the preset was Eric Lee 2023, a modified version of that. If you wanted to jump into the folder, you can grab that, but it's got 3 snapshots. I was using the clean and then the lead. So, what are the real differences here? We've got a compound 12 to 14 inch fretboard radius on the Sire, whereas we've got a 9.5 inch fretboard radius on the Fender, which actually suits me quite a bit better, if I'm being totally honest. I'm not someone who particularly likes a totally flat fretboard. You know, as a young kid, shredding was a thing. But these days I find actually 9.5/vintage style stuff even suits me better. They both have 2-point trems, although this is Gotoh branded hardware, so you'd think, is that a premium over a Fender? I don't know. But anyway, so that's kind of one of the things. We've got Swamp Ash body and Pine body, so both have a satin finished neck. In terms of the neck shape, this one feels a little bit, I would say, wider sort of feeling, whereas it's hard to say. Neck shapes are weird. I think this feels like it's trying to be a little bit more towards that Suhr oval, whereas Fender call this a deep C. I would actually call it very much middle of the road. I wouldn't call it deep. You know, it's quite shallow, not totally slim like the Player 2, but not far off. Now, what I would say is normally I find that Fender guitars sound noticeably more like Fender guitars, as weird as that sounds to say, but normally in an A-B comparison I find like the Strat kind of stands out. So in the past when I've done like a Mexican player versus Silver Sky SE, or a Mexican player versus the Sire S10, which I've done in the past, I normally find that the Fender sounds very obviously more like a Strat or whatever. I don't know if you felt any way about this, but I did feel that in this comparison, for whatever reason, Fender doesn't necessarily sound the most Stratty of any guitar that I've ever heard. I don't know if you felt any sort of way. Now, this guitar does have one premium feature that I don't know if Fender do across any of their mass-produced guitars. Stainless steel frets. Now, these are very smooth and well polished, which is a good thing, and something that I don't think Ivan has got quite right on the AZ standard that I tried, so points there. So I would say I'd prefer definitely the neck on the Fender. I think that's going to be, for me, more comfortable. And not only that, the rosewood fretboard, I really do notice a difference versus playing a maple fretboard, where sort of I feel like you have like a little bit of friction with a maple fretboard that just simply doesn't seem to be there with rosewood. But other than that, it is actually quite a comparable set of guitars in my opinion, so Sire have done quite a good job there. The one problem that I kind of have with both guitars is that I don't feel like they're necessarily a huge step above what you could get at the cheaper range. So like the Player 2 is the obvious competitor to the American Professional 2, and actually compares pretty favourably. Likewise, the Sire S7 plays very similarly to this, like has similar body shape and stuff, but what there is a big difference in, and I guess this is what you're paying for this to be made in America, the difference here is that they've put that money extra that it costs into specs, like the Seymour Duncan pickups, stainless steel frets, Gotoh hardware, so you do get like an upgrade in terms of equipment and specs and all that sort of stuff, even if it's still made in Indonesia. But I would say at the end of the day, for me, this one I kind of prefer, although you'd probably expect that given that this is what, like a 1800 pound guitar. This is 12 to 1300, so neither of these are at all cheap guitars. Yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you prefer the sound of either one, or did you think either sound it more Stratty? I do think this one looks quite classy, and actually for a Sire I think this one gets more right on the looks than some of the others. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Which do you prefer? Cheers for stopping by. Have you played either? What would you pick? I think maybe over each of these I'd pick a Fender Vintera 2, maybe a Tokai, yeah, maybe a Pura Silver Sky SE. To some extent, you know, you're getting, I think, a little bit more bang for your buck with those options. If you really like the Sire, then a Sire S7 feels very similar. You don't have the stainless steel frets, but you could upgrade the pickups in there and you have a similar sort of situation. If you really like the American Professional, then the Player 2 is not worlds apart, I wouldn't say, but the neck is definitely a lot skinnier on the Player 2.